Part 1, Cindy Crawford and Richard Gere. Richard Gere's fine ass was born August 31st, 1949. Astrology. He is a Virgo, he's a Beyonce sun, a Sagittarius moon, a Capricorn rising, and a midheaven in Scorpio. Cindy Crawford's fine ass, however, was born February 20th, 1966 in DeKalb, Illinois. She is a Pisces sun, Pisces moon, Cancer rising. My sensitive girl. Oh my goodness. And Aries midheaven. Well, she's driven. You don't want to see her when she's angry. She's empathetic, but don't fuck with her. So according to People magazine, the year is 1988, and photographer Herb Ritz has a barbecue at his house, and it is star-studded. Cindy Crawford goes there, and she's awestruck by the celebrity crowd, including Mr. Richard Gere. She's 21, and he's 38 at the time. Here's an article from People. I think I was 22 when we met, actually. In the beginning of a relationship, when you're a young woman, you're like, oh, you like baseball? I like baseball. Oh, you're really into Tibetan Buddhism? I might be into that. I'll try that, because that's the religion that Richard Gere belongs to. Cindy Crawford continues. You're willing to kind of mold yourself around whoever you're in love with. I'm still babysitting that kitten. You're willing to kind of mold yourself around whoever you're in love with. And that is true. At 22 and 32, I very much was Velcro silly putty. I'm attached to you and I'm just like you. Mindy Kaling has a joke that I've probably repeated on here a million times, but she's like, when you're 24, a homeless man can come up to you and propose to you and you're like, I'm getting married. Like, it's just, the male gaze is everything, I think, you know? Anyway, I don't want to get too off topic. I know how people froth at the mouth, but Cindy Crawford also credits Richard Gere on teaching her how to be famous, okay? When I would see how he was with fans and they approached him, a lot of times it wouldn't be a good moment to sign an autograph, shake a hand, or sign a picture. She continued, I got to look to him to see how he created boundaries for himself, and that felt good. Richard's a super smart guy, and he's interesting, and he's interested. Oh, not an ad. Go away. And I learned a lot about the world. It was a great chapter in my life. But Cindy Crawford's no idiot either. She's an incredibly intelligent woman. And we're mole sisters. There are dozens of us. You know what? Let's talk Cindy. I'm a big Cindy Crawford fan. MTV's House of Style changed my life, Cindy. I used to tell people you were my aunt. Okay, so Cindy's from Illinois. I'm going to read you this, okay? At her sophomore year of high school, she's 15, all right? The world is her oyster. She receives a call from a local clothing store regarding modeling work, only to discover it was a prank by two of her classmates. You bitch. Wait, what's that Bible verse? Let me look it up. Hold on. One thing about jealous bitches is that they will do jealous bitch things. That's crazy. Who is that? Peter? Those little jackals prank her, right? However, the following year, another store hired a number of high school girls, including Cindy Crawford, to work for them, including a fashion shoot. A quote, when I was 16, Roger Legel, sorry, I'm a dumbass, a local photographer in my small town of DeKalb, Illinois, asked to photograph me for the college newspaper. I agreed, and he shot this picture at the backyard of my high school boyfriend's pool. I was still a teenager and dreamed of becoming something big. A nuclear physicist or the first woman president, the two biggest jobs I could think of. Cindy Crawford graduated from DeKalb High School in 1984 as valedictorian. She earned an academic scholarship to study chemical engineering at Northwestern University, which she attended for only 1 quarter before dropping out to pursue a full-time modeling career. So again, she's no dumbass. I am. What's the name of this fucking guy? Roger Legel? Fuck. Anyway, so she dreamed of being something big. The photographer encouraged me to go to Chicago to try and find an agent. At the time, my dad thought modeling was a nice word for SW work, for SWs. So my parents were very protective over me. I went to Chicago, ended up signing with Elite, and from there started doing catalog shoots as well as working with Victor Skrebneski, the most important photographer in Chicago. And I butchered your name. Victor. I'm so sorry. This one photograph opened my eyes to a whole new world and started me down the path of modeling, and I have that photo. And I have this photo before me. I'm covering it because I'm scared of TikTok, boop, boop. But like that's a 15-year-old. Have you seen like a Rango, the lizard? You know what I'm talking about? That's what I looked like at 15. So different vibes we were given. She looks, well, Kaya Gerber looks so much like her mother. It's insane. Like carbon copy, copy paste. Okay, so in 1983, when Cindy Crawford was 17, she entered the Look of the Year modeling contest, later renamed Elite Model Look, held by Elite Model Management, one of the largest modeling agencies in the world. Her status as a finalist secured her professional representation, which quickly generated jobs. Whenever I hear Elite Model Management, I think of John Casablancas, and I don't know if you've seen the documentary that he did. Basically, he recorded, before he passed away, he recorded a voiceover for this documentary, and he's a gross man. I should probably do a series on that, but gross. Look up Linda Evangelista and Elite Model Management. Yeah, really gross. But I'm so glad we have Cindy Crawford. Continued. So she's at Northwestern for 2 years and she drops out. This right here is her big break. She's 20 years old. She lands the cover of Vogue. And you know what? Between 1986 and 1988, when she was with Richard Gere, she was on 20 different covers of Vogue magazine. So she was in the peak of her career, as was her career. She got beautiful spurt, as was Richard Gere. So Richard Gere is one of my favorite actors. And he's also a man that I would let put me into like pizza dough and slam me on a wall. And he was born in Philadelphia. Go Eagles, fly Eagles, fly. Some quick background on Richard Gere. He is the eldest son and second child of Doris and Homer George Gere. His father was originally intended to be a minister. He was raised Methodist in Syracuse, New York. Go Orangemen. Am I right? Okay. And his descendants were like on the Mayflower. He's like an OG pilgrim. Is that okay to say? Is that offensive to pilgrims? He's a Mayflower descendant. He graduated from North Syracuse Central High School, where he excelled at gymnastics, hot. And he also excelled in music. He played the trumpet. Who was fucking more than those band people, huh? Those kids in band? So jealous. Anyway, so then he goes to the University of Massachusetts Amherst on a gymnastics scholarship, studying philosophy, and after 2 years, he left and did not graduate. He started off in theater, as most actors do. My friend Nezrin on here tweeted once, "I don't understand how people are scared to talk to actors. They're just theater kids." That's fucking funny. So he was also one of the first notable Hollywood actors to play a gay character starring a gay Holocaust victim in the 1979 Broadway production of Bent, for which he earned a Theater World Award. He starts doing movies in the 1970s. Here's a little fun fact. Originally cast in a starring role in The Lords of Flatbush, he was replaced after fighting with his co-star Sylvester Stallone. Everyone's always fighting with Sylvester Stallone. Yeah, I've heard he isn't nice either. But I fucking love Rocky. Can you imagine being from Philadelphia, like being born in Philadelphia and then fighting with Rocky? American Gigolo really boosted his status in Hollywood and An Officer and a Gentleman. He won 2 Academy Awards and a Golden Globe nomination. So when they met at that barbecue, they were both at great points in their career. They were very successful people, very famous people. So I just really want to shout out his performance in Mr. Goodbar with Diane Keaton in 1977. They were very private people, but they would make public appearances together, like the legendary red Versace dress. This dress has its own Wikipedia page. Cindy wore this dress when she went to the Academy Awards with Richard Gere in 1991. Absolutely stunning. I'm going to read from the Wikipedia for the red Versace dress of Cindy Crawford. That's the name of the Wikipedia page. The red Versace dress of Cindy Crawford is a red plunge Versace dress worn by Cindy Crawford at the 63rd Academy Awards on March 25th, 1991. The dress worn by the model and designed by Versace was a long evening dress in red with straps and a plunging neckline. The model, accompanied by her boyfriend of the time, the actor Richard Gere, presented the Oscar for Best Set Design along with Susan Sarandon. I love you, Susan. I love you, Susan Sarandon. The Oscar red carpet of 1991 represents the first official occasion where Gere and Crawford were seen together as a couple. So this is the first public outing. You look beautiful, Cindy. You look absolutely beautiful. By the way, you look beautiful. Part 2, Richard Gere and Cindy Crawford. A little more on this dress. So this is actually the first Versace dress to be worn on a red carpet. She had worn a similar dress like this on the runway. So she asked Gianni Versace, I love you, Gianni Versace. She asked Gianni Versace, like, can you make this dress in red for the Oscars? And here's a quote. Me. Where is it? Reflecting on her Oscars appearance, the model said, I got invited to go to the Oscars with Richard. I'm like, well, I mean, what do models do well? We wear clothes well, and I better look good. I better be a freaking supermodel. And that you were, bitch. And that you are. That same year, 1991, they eloped. Okay? According to the Mirror, Richard Gere admitted that Crawford had threatened to walk away if he didn't get down on one knee. Quote, this woman who I was crazy about and loved very much. I want you to come over here. Come over here, sweetheart. This is much better. Come closer to mommy. There we go. You look so pretty tonight. Oh. Okay, so this woman who I was crazy about and loved very much said, I can't wait. I gotta move on if it isn't happening. I have never in my life had the ball sack to say that to somebody. I'm like, you should check your DMs. Venues, dresses, whatever. Anyway, one day, Richard Gere and I had been dating for several years, she said at one point. And I was like, are we doing this or what? And he said, let's go to Vegas tonight. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. Cindy told Yahoo. I don't know why that's killing me. It wasn't the wedding I dreamed of. It was so last minute, and I wore this Armani suit. Here's a quote. She goes, it was a nice Armani suit, but I never dreamed of getting married in navy blue, and the ring was made out of tinfoil. This is so romantic. Okay, tinfoil, because it was so last minute. But I did have Herb Ritz as my bridemaid, the photographer that hosted the barbecue where they met, and taking the pictures. And there are no images of this wedding. They exchanged rings later that had a Tibetan mantra on them. And it goes Om Mani Padme Hum engraved on them, which means praise to the jewel in the lotus. So Om purifies the body, Mani means jewel and symbolizes compassion, love, and intention to become enlightened. Padme means lotus and symbolizes wisdom, and Hum means union and symbolizes the union of intention and wisdom. That is beautiful. Y'all are millionaires. Y'all are millionaires. After exchanging the rings with Tibetan mantras on them, they buy a $5 million Bel Air mansion. You have to laugh. Come on. That's funny. It was a Georgian manor that had 6 bedrooms, 4 fireplaces. It could get cold in Bel Air. You'd never know. A pool and a guest house. You might have guests. Where are they going to stay? Hello. So the movie star and supermodel were constantly working in different parts of the world and apparently had to check in with secretaries to find out what was going on in each other's lives. We already see what's happening, don't we? I say it every series. Sing it with me. Beauty and the Beast. 5, 6, 7. Tale as old as time. You do the... That was gorgeous. By the time they put this house on the market in 1995, it was reported they never spent a single night there because they were working so much. All of Hollywood thought this was a beard relationship. They thought that they were both gay and that this was a cover-up, okay? So amid what seemed to add complications in their relationship, the tabloids had a field day speculating that their marriage was a sham, including rumors that both stars were gay and had only wed to cover it up. The rumors got worse, however, when Cindy Crawford had the nerve, the gall, and the audacity to pose with a lesbian. And she was out. Her name is Katie Lang, excuse me. This is a quote from Katie Lang. I was collaborating with my dear friend and the master of photography, Herb Ritz, and then he called in Cindy to cap off the amazement of the whole project. I knew at the moment that we were creating something that had a lot of provocation. It's provocative, and it got the people going. Just kidding. I felt like we were making a piece of art, and I have to say that when I look at it today, I still feel very proud. For the 90s, prudes, okay? Prudes. I dare you to spend one night at the Gianni Versace house, according to what I fucking heard. Please. Here he's wearing an AIDS ribbon. He was in a movie called And the Band Played On about the AIDS epidemic. And people were like, oh my God, he's in this gay movie. he's gay. And to that I say, why not bi? I don't know. I'm just saying. There is an all-time low in bi men everywhere but Silver Lake and Bushwick. Where are you guys? Anyway, so Richard Gere and Cindy Crawford fight back. The Hollywood couple, including utilizing the unprecedented strategy of paying $30,000 and taking out a full-page ad in the Times of London in May 1994 stating their marriage was fine and monogamous and that they were both heterosexual. That's a very gay thing to do. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We got married because we love each other and we decided to make a life together. We are heterosexual and monogamous and take our commitment to each other very seriously. That is crazy. Paying $30K to tell people you're straight is crazy. Not that they're crazy to do it. It's just that they were taken to that point. You know what I mean? There is not and has never been a prenuptial agreement of any kind. Reports of a divorce are completely false. There are no plans, nor have there ever been any plans for divorce. We remain very married and we both look forward to having a family. Then in this front page ad, they list causes they support, including AIDS research and treatment, Tibetan independence, cultural and tribal survival, international human rights. And they were intentional about that. Gay and lesbian rights, ecology, leukemia research and treatment, democracy movements, disarmament, and nonviolence. And they asked anyone reading this to please be responsible, truthful, and kind. Cindy Crawford talks to Rolling Stone in 1993. Richard's obviously been accused of being gay. Why? Because he has a lot of gay friends? It's amazing to me, considering the number of women he's associated with. Like, when does he have time to be gay? Oh, honey. Oh, honey. When would he have the time to be gay? Is hilarious. Whatever. But she's like negative 20 years old, okay? Like, what is it? Plus, we won't ever say he's not gay because he doesn't think there's anything wrong with being gay. He's not gay. We would never say he's not gay, though. You know what I mean? I love this. In the same interview regarding her sexuality, she says, particularly for a young woman in a world of AIDS, I've said that it seems to be a safer way to explore your sexuality rather than screwing around a lot of boys. This is the gayest interview I've ever fucking heard. I'm losing. I mean, if you're not into it, you're not into it. For me, though, it's like Sharon Stone has said, it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Okay. In 1994, Cindy Crawford talks to Vanity Fair and says Richard Gere really wanted to put this ad out way more than I did because he felt he had different things at stake. She explains, I think the main thing that Richard was very upset about was not that they were saying this stuff about us, but they were saying that we were lying about it and we weren't honest people. That I understand. I understand saying, if I was gay, you would fucking know. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just the way that she said it was extremely gay. This article reads, she's very open about the state of their marriage at the time, including how young she was when they got together, their differing views of their careers, and their diverging interests. She said that they are going through what's called growing pains together. For my relationship, especially now that I'm 28, I expect more. But there are definitely signs of a divorce coming. In 1992, Richard Gere was romantically linked to Uma Thurman while they were filming a movie. It's called Film Analysis. Also, Cindy Crawford wanted kids. As reported by People magazine, she explains, I feel that's the thing in my life I'm going to be the best at, being a mother. Richard Gere seems less keen on the idea, reportedly saying, I am a child. He's 44 years old when he says that. What's the Broad City quote? Where she's like, getting married at 27? What am I, a child bride? Like, literally. So a People magazine profile from this time also writes this. Cindy often does the laundry, but never the toilets. He sends her notes when she's on the road saying, I love you desperately. She chides him for forgetting to put the cat back on the milk. And then he also tells Vanity Fair that in 1993, Cindy had been very vocal about wanting a family and that he just did not want one. By the August of 1994, Cindy Crawford was telling Vanity Fair that Richard Gere just didn't understand her career. Part 3, Cindy Crawford and Richard Gere. So Cindy's like, okay, he doesn't get my career, aka he doesn't respect my career, aka he doesn't think this is real work. That's essentially what I get from that. My tia Cindy did not tell me that, right? Around this time, she's also, in August 1994, she is spotted in the back of a limousine with John Enos, who is not ugly. You might know him from Bullet in 1996, Dead Sexy in 2001, Everybody Wants to Be Italian in 2007, Over the Line in 1993, Missionary Man in 2007, Raven Hawk in 2006. I don't know any of those, but I know that mug. Now let's go to July 1994. Richard Gere apparently gets into a fight with Sylvester Stallone, accusing him of putting the moves on Cindy. Here they are together. Sylvester just beaming from ear to ear. He's so happy to be there. And Sylvester Stallone says it was the most bizarre thing in the world. And this is in a quote from Richard Gere and Cindy Crawford. Elton John wrote this in his memoir. And he also says that Richard Gere and Sylvester Stallone also fought over Princess Diana. And I get it. Okay, so there's this Hollywood party, right? It's Elton John, George Michaels, and Richard Gere. It's so gay. I'm so sorry. And Sylvester Stallone at this party with Princess Diana. That's so gay. Whatever. The most peculiar scene developed, Elton John wrote in his book. Straight away, Richard Gere and Princess Diana seemed very taken with each other. But Elton John remembers Gere and Diana deep in conversation in front of the fireplace when the mood of the party changed. As the rest of us chatted, I couldn't help notice a strange atmosphere in the room. Judging by the kinds of looks he kept shooting at them, Diana and Richard Gere's newly blossoming friendship was not going down well with Sylvester Stallone at all. I think he may have turned up to the party with the express intention of picking Diana up. Insanity. Can you imagine Rocky and Lady Spencer? Only to find his plans for the evening ruined. When it was time to eat, the group moved over to the dining room, but Richard Gere and Stallone were noticeably missing, according to the book. So John sent his partner, David, to find them. And he came back to both of them. I'm so sorry. He came back to both of them, and he was wearing a fairly ashen expression. What the fuck is ashen? Hold on. Ashen definition. The pale gray color of ash. Well, the more you know. Where was I? John wrote, saying that Furnish relayed that there was a situation. He came back with both. Richard Gere was in the corridor squaring up with Sylvester Stallone, apparently about to settle their differences over Diana by having a fist fight. Other accounts say that this confrontation was actually about Stallone and Crawford having an affair. Referring to Crawford, Gere allegedly said, "I hear you're sleeping with my wife," to Stallone before calling the Rocky actor a lowlife and making fun of his accent. Oh, that would gut me. Making fun of my accent? Ugh. While Stallone reportedly... I don't have an accent, right? I don't have an accent, right? Right? Okay. While Stallone reportedly called Gere's accusations bizarre and totally untrue, Gere himself, a confused man who was having delusions, Cindy Crawford later speculated that Stallone may have said something to provoke Richard. I don't know either of them, but that sounds true. Here's just a gorgeous photo of Cindy Crawford. But they announced they're separating on December 1st, 1994. The breakup was announced when Gere finished filming First Night in London, and First Night with a K, like night. Okay? It's a movie. And he was filming it in London and was back in New York. A joint statement described their decision as personal and painful. Neither Crawford nor Gere have been particularly vocal about their relationship in the decades since their split. But in 1995, Crawford told People that the distance played a part in their breakup. Quote, "We didn't spend enough time together, and we were equally responsible for that. We thought it would be okay if we just flew in from Paris to LA to get together for a night to see each other, and it just wasn't enough." In her 2015 autobiography, Becoming, Cindy Crawford made a decision not to mention her marriage to the actor. So she doesn't talk about Richard Gere at all. "It's not something I want to share. I want to be respectful." In 2016, she said that Gere was now like a stranger during her appearance on the podcast What the Fuck with Mark Maron. "We're friendly, but I think it's almost like he's gone back to being like Richard Gere again, like a stranger, because we don't really see each other that much." Cindy Crawford adds, "I think part of the problem in our relationship is that we were a lot of other things, and I don't know if we were ever friends." like Piers because I was young and he was Richard Gere. And then I started to kind of grow up and growing into myself. And it's hard to change the nature of a relationship once you're already in it. Yeah, once you get your flow, you know what I mean? You're not going to be like, what's your favorite color? You're like, you're fucking married. I was still 22, and at 22 as a young woman, I was still kind of figuring out who I was and who I wanted to be. She said this on Oprah's Masterclass. I just think in your 20s for women is such a time when you're starting to come into your own and feel your own power and connect to your inner strength. I did that in my 30s. My 20s was completely fucking powerless and hungover. And it's hard to do that. It's hard to change in a relationship because that's one person because of what person might have signed up for. All of a sudden, you're not that anymore. And we hear that all the time, right? In our personal lives, with our parents' friends, you grow apart, you grow into different people. She added, I think I was more willing at 22 to be like, okay, I'll follow. And then you start going, well, I don't want to follow. I want to lead sometimes, and I want to walk side by side sometimes. And it's true. I find the relationships in my personal life that have lasted years and years and years, they don't grow apart. They grow, kind of parallel to each other because they are friends. Cindy Crawford's been with the father of her children for 25 years now. This isn't him, that's her and Richard Gere. His name's Randy Gerber, and they actually met while she was still married to Richard Gere. We met at my agent's wedding. When I met him, I was still with Richard Gere, and he didn't want to go to the wedding with me. Randy also had a girlfriend at the time, so he wasn't looking to meet anyone either. And that's the best time to meet someone, because that's when you're truly yourselves. We became friends, and after Richard and I broke up, we started dating. Never let your husband get in the way of your new boyfriend. I'm just kidding. So Richard Gere has kind of disappeared from Hollywood. He's been ostracized from Hollywood for the following reasons. In 1993, he went off script in an Oscar speech. Gere went off script during the Oscars to draw attention to China's human rights situation. Producer Gil Cates reportedly hated the speech and said he wouldn't invite Gere back. Gere has said that Chinese directors have threatened his family and pressured them not to work with him. He's also said that some producers won't finance films with him because they don't want to upset the Chinese. And China is a major financial resource for Hollywood studios, and Hollywood's financial ties to China are important. Gere has embraced his apparent exile from Hollywood and has appeared in independent films. He's had some of his best reviews in these films, including his role in Arbitrage in 2012. He has moved to Spain with his wife, Alejandra Silva, and their children. So what have we learned here? We have learned that you could be with one of the most successful, famous men in the entire world. And at 44 years old, he will still look at you and say, I'm a little baby.